Factoring polynomials. Polynomials factoring, kind of a big deal. So let me give you some of the special rules. Perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomial. That looks like this. X squared plus 2xy plus y squared. Let me put this down here. That's always going to factor into an x minus y, to an x plus y squared. Another version of this, the perfect square trinomial, is you have x squared minus 2xy plus y squared. That will always factor into the binomial x minus y squared. Difference of two squares, also very popular on the ACT. So let me just write this in symbols. Difference of two squares. Square minus square. That would be something like x squared minus y squared. That's going to factor into binomial x minus y and x plus y. Lots of other factoring rules, but those are essentially, it's just two rules for special cases. So number one, this is a trinomial. Is it a perfect square trinomial? To be a perfect square trinomial, the first term has to be a perfect square, which it is. The third term has to be a perfect square, which it is not. This is going to factor into two binomials. I have other videos teaching how to factor, if you need to watch them, that go in a lot more depth than what I'm going to go into here. If you need to see them, let me know. I'll give you a link to it. So since the lead coefficient is a 1, that means this is going to factor into just x and x at the beginning of each binomial. We take the square root of the first term. Then to determine what goes in these other spots, you need two numbers that multiply to get 2. Same two numbers add to get the middle coefficient of 3. So the numbers that would do that would be 1 and 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. So you make one of these plus 1, you make the other one plus 2. Doesn't matter which one is which, and that's factored. Number 2, once again, if you're lucky enough the lead coefficient is 1, these are easy to factor. If you're not so lucky, they're not easy to factor. It's going to be two binomials. Split the x squared apart at the beginning of each binomial. Two numbers that multiply to get negative 12. Same two numbers add to get 4. So that would be a plus 6 and a minus 2. Done. Inequalities. So let me just run through what each of these things say. This says 5 is greater than 1. This says 2 is greater than negative 2, x is greater than 0, x is greater than y. 8 is less than 9. Negative 4 is less than negative 1, x is less than 0, y is less than x. X is greater than or equal to 0. X is greater than or equal to y. X is less than or equal to 0, and x is less than or equal to y. So what are some rules for inequalities? They're the same rules for equations with one exception. If you multiply or divide both sides of an equation by a negative number, I should say both sides of an inequality, then you have to change the inequality sign. So here's what that means. A lot of words. Here's what it means. Let's say we had negative 2x is less than 8. We want to get x by itself. We would divide both sides by negative 2. This is the special rule because we just divided both sides by a negative. So what happens is on the left we get x, on the right we get negative 4. The special thing is the inequality sign changes direction. So instead of a less than, it becomes a greater than. Same thing happens if you multiply both sides by a negative number. Here we would multiply both sides by negative, it's not an equal sign. Let's say that was greater than or equal to. If we multiply both sides by negative 5, on the left they cancel. On the right you get negative 20. And this changes the inequality sign to be x is less than or equal to negative 20. Alright, that was extremely long. I apologize, but I think it was also necessary. Please do exercise set 5, and make sure you tell your mother that you love her.